Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Wednesday, November 26th, 2025. It's broadcast 1434, and it's good to see you, Lydia and Susie, Ellen and Arlene, Leonard, nice to see you here. Safta Steber, Jonathan and John, Fabrice, Penny, good to see you. Thank you, Penny. It's broadcast 1434. Sandy and Linda, Cynthia and Carl, good to see you too. Tara, welcome. Boker Tov. Let's see who else might be jumping on. Then we'll sing a bracha and learn some Torah. Valerie and Cecile, good morning, friends. Good to see you. Hi, Debbie. Okay, let's take a breath. We're going to sing a bracha. We'll learn a little bit. Here we go. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah, hafoch ba ve'hafoch ba, la'asok b'divrei Torah. Ta-da-ya, la, 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 la. Ta-da-ya, la, 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 la. Ay-ya, la, la, la. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you connecting from all over the world, all over the United States. I saw a little bit that we were sharing from our own lives that I don't want to leave behind. Karen, you're sharing that today is your 16th young widow sad anniversary. Sending you great comfort, and thank you for letting us know so that we could send you all of our care. It's good to see you. Glad you're here. And Judy, you're sharing that today is the 30th Yahrzeit for your Oma Flora, who passed away at 100. You are hashtag thankful. We are glad that you're here too. Thank you for sharing your beloved Oma's Yahrzeit with us. We are here. It's good to see all of us. I'm glad that we have this community, not only so that we can share these life moments, but also because that way we can have the opportunity as a community to show up and offer comfort. Karen and Judy, just so you know, from Instagram, where you're not, you're also getting love and care. So there's a multi platform community happening here. Let's jump right in. Glad, Deborah, that you're feeling better, less sniffling, no cough. May you continue your trajectory towards refuah shlema, towards healing. Let's also dedicate today's learning to the memory of Dror Or. He was one of 3 remaining slain hostages whose body was returned to Israel from Gaza yesterday, exactly 2 years after his children who were taken captive were freed. Dror and his wife were both murdered on October 7th, and Dror's body was just returned for proper burial and dignity. There are 2 remaining hostages whose bodies are being held in Gaza, and we are davening that their bodies are returned so that their families can have the kind of very complicated closure and comfort that this offers. Their names are Ran Kvili, who's Israeli, and Suthisak Rinthalak, who is a Thai national. We are davening for them to be returned. Please God. Let's jump into this week's Parsha. These are all real and heavy things, and that's not a bad segue into the text of the Parsha, which is itself complicated. Vayeitzei includes, first of all, the birth of all the tribes. Very, very powerful and beautiful. But what I want to look at is the introduction of Leah and the introduction of Rachel. Leah and Rachel are sisters. They are both daughters of Betuel, who's a relative of their families back in the old country. We'll just say it like that. Let me not miss the chance to say hi to my son Moshe, who's here on Instagram. Good to see you, my love. And since we all share stuff that goes on in our lives, Moshe is doing well. He's recovering from a small procedure, and so today's Torah is also for your refuah shlema, my love. Leah and Rachel are different from each other. They are sisters. They are both in a world where women are deeply vulnerable if they aren't connected to a man, and that's a very complicated world to grow up in. It remains in so many ways a complicated world based on gender in our day. But in their world, without the knowledge that you were safe and being cared for, you were abandoned. And so who you were going to end up with was very, very significant. That's why when the Torah introduces Leah and says, this is chapter 29, verse 17, says something about Leah and says something about Rachel. Ve'enei Leah rakot, Leah's eyes, and the translation is often weak, but it can mean rakot, like raka, can mean soft. Her eyes show something. I'll come back to this. And in contrast, Rachel hayta yefat toar v'yefat mar'eh, and Rachel was beautiful. Now, soft eyes can be very beautiful, can't they? Leah is often given short shrift by tradition. Even in the way that we say the Amidah, if you listen closely, she is one of the four matriarchs, and even though she's the firstborn, she's always mentioned after Rachel. There are parts of the Jewish world that have reversed that order to give her her proper place in the lineage. So instead of Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, which is how traditional Sidurim do it, there are some who say Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Velohei Rachel, because she really is not treated well in the Torah, and she's not treated well by tradition. Now, she is the one who has the majority of the tribes. They emerge from her and Jacob. And so there are blessings that come her way, and the names of her children reflect her attunement to their fate. The first one, Reuven, I've seen my son. There's a way that she pays close attention to the birth and fights for that stature. But let's look at Rachel for a moment. Why are her eyes described as rakot? And why is the translation often weak? That is the way the JPS translates it. And it's not kind. And it's in contrast to Rachel's physical beauty being described. So according to Breshit Rabbah, an ancient midrash, this is quoted by Rashi, she thought she would have to fall to the lot of Esav. There was a prophecy that she was going to be marrying Esav, who also is not treated kindly by tradition and is seen as a brute, especially in comparison with his brother Jacob. Now, in the Torah, Jacob is the covenantal one, the covenantal son, and Esav is not. We know that story. We just emerged from it. And each complexity is due its own treatment. So I actually don't want to talk about Esav. I just want to talk about Leah. In this way, she is worried. It doesn't feel fair. She thought she would have to fall to the lot of Esav, and she therefore wept continually. Because everyone said, Rebekah has two sons. Lavan has two daughters, the elder daughter for the elder son, the younger daughter for the younger son. In that way, the fact that Leah does end up with Jacob through an incredible trick that she and Rachel and their father play on Jacob. Jacob the deceiver is deceived. She ends up escaping the fate that she was fated to. But that doesn't really make it okay. Her eyes are soft, and we learn that they are soft from tears. I wrote a long time ago, I'm just going to read a paragraph that I wrote about this because it's very hard to look back at our past and acknowledge the tears. This is a moment, especially with Thanksgiving tomorrow, where many of us are contemplating our families and our past, thinking about our future. And there is softness in our eyes sometimes because life can be hard. We should be deeply grateful. But it is also true that there are struggles involved in our lives. Some, as Rose is writing, some have suggested that the notion of weak might mean that she was ill, but there's no indication elsewhere in the text that she is ill. It is actually a physical descriptor which seems to be connected to a comparison with Rachel's beauty. So this is meant to sound like not as physically appealing, which is also very cruel. Now, the same description of Rachel being Yifat Toar, beautiful, is used for Rachel's son Joseph, who is described as Yifat Toar, physically beautiful. And there's no reason to insult that. But that isn't the measure of worth. It could be, as John is writing, and this is so important. Perhaps she is because she is human. And as Emily wrote, it's the forever both and, to acknowledge the struggle and also see with gratitude. As Amy is writing, as she asks, is the phrase soft eyes used elsewhere? And the answer is no. No, it's really just here. And Arlene wrote, we must remember the tears, the heartbreak. Hopefully we can learn from this. And the question is, how did Leah come to these tears? So I asked back when I first wrote a piece on this, the softness of Leah's eyes is also reminiscent of Isaac. Remember, Isaac's eyes grew dim over time. We know about his eyes. We know about Leah's eyes. Maybe there's something softening. Maybe there's something beautiful here. Due to her trying to create an alternative timeline, to see beyond a fate she wishes to avoid, that prophecy that she was going to marry Esav. So Leah closes her eyes and cries. And what does she see with her eyes closed? A different life than the one people have been telling her is coming. There's a beautiful teaching in the Talmud. This is from Vayeitzei. When one goes to measure the corn in the granary, remember in an agrarian society, you have a silo and you have to measure the corn. They should pray, may it be your will, O Lord our God, to send a blessing upon the work of our hands. That makes sense. Before you count, you should ask for blessing that you should count correctly and God should bless what you're counting. But if one measured and then prayed, it is a vain prayer, because a blessing is not found in that which is already weighed, measured, or counted, but only in that which is hidden from the eye. That's Vayeitzei 42a. The Midrash about Leah's eyes and her crying because of the fate she's been told. The Midrash ends with a phrase, so powerful was Leah's prayer that it annulled her predetermined destiny. How beautiful, how beautiful. Of course, Rose, it's lovely that you got the Mishnah. How beautiful to hear Leah's prayer and its power to reclaim as readers and as descendants of Leah that this is her birthright too. This is her legacy. We are the children of Leah and Rachel. And sometimes, maybe even if we don't change the liturgical order, for us to say we are the children of Leah and Rachel, to give Leah, our matriarch, more love. And Shari asks the question, if her destiny was predetermined, how could she change that? Much has been written about, and this is always true in these Greek epics or in plays and mysteries, when a prophecy is told, how can you change that? Or is trying to change the prophecy a fulfillment of the prophecy? That's often how the stories go. Leah broke the prophecy and changed her life. And often that comes with tears. The way that we go through life and channel what is happening in our bodies, in our existence, and say, no, that's not what's going to happen. It often involves a break. David Brooks, the writer and journalist, has a book called The Second Mountain, where he describes a journey like this. He's actually speaking mostly about men, but maybe it's useful here. He says often early in life, especially for men, but not only, life is defined by ambition and ego, an attempt to climb that mountain, be seen, succeed, earn whatever, build whatever, have a family that looks like whatever. And sometimes, very often, he says, you get to the top of that mountain and something knocks you off the mountain. Something. It can be a loss of any kind. It can be an epiphany. It can be the circumstance of the world, the circumstance of your heart. And something knocks you off that mountain, and then you learn that there's another mountain to climb. And that first mountain actually wasn't your mountain. The first mountain was very much about ego. And remember what we said yesterday. Jacob's realization, Va'anochi lo yadati, I didn't know. I didn't know. The ego in me couldn't know God in this place. The second mountain is about serving. It's about being selfless, more selfless. It's about knowing that this mission that we are on as individuals, as a people, as families, it's bigger than the self. More room for God is another way of saying that. Leah was always on that second mountain. And maybe this is some part of ego. Maybe it is also selfless. But regardless of her fitting into some modern paradigm, spoken much later in time in a different world, perhaps Leah's tears gave her the chance to lead a life where she could be more present. She could have more agency over her own fate. Maybe from this we learn, friends, not only about our patriarchs, and not only about the matriarchs that come first, but we also learn about the power of Leah's tears. Maybe, just maybe, Leah's soft eyes hold the key to a world where more people are seen, where the worthiness of people is understood and appreciated. Maybe with softer eyes, we can see a little bit more in the people around us, believe more about their capacities, and defy what we think is fated for ourselves too. With that in our heart, friends, let's send our hearts to the east and sing. Kolon balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefateh mizrach kadima ayin lezion tzofia od lo avda tikvateinu hatikva bat shnot alpayim להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.